Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum bum dum dum da-dum dum 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 While I may not have talked about the actual cartoon series itself, let's talk about the theatrical film of that zany jungle dude, George of the Jungle. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1997 comedy flick George of the Jungle, released by Disney along with Manville Films and the Kerner Entertainment Company. Based on Jay Ward's cartoon of the same name, this came out just 30 years after the actual animated series came out, starring Brendan Fraser in the title role, along with Leslie Mann and Thomas Haden Church. The film was directed by Sam Weisman, who recently directed D2, The Mighty Ducks, a few years before this, and of course he also would later direct the Out of Towners remake, as well as Dickie Roberts' former child star. Anyway, of course, George of the Jungle is a spoof of Tarzan, if you've never seen the tune. Well, this film is absolutely a blast and what have you, and I recently revisited this film on Disney+. So let's go into the story. The film opens with an animated sequence, which almost resembles the actual animated series, but in a brighter way. A plane flying through the Bukavu region in the heart of Africa crashes. A child on board the plane, named George, disappears into the jungle and is raised by a sapient talking gorilla named Ape. 25 years later, George, who enjoys swinging on vines to move about, but has a habit of crashing into trees, hence the part of that famous part of the theme song, "Watch Out for That Tree," has grown to be king of the jungle. Later, after the intro and our introduction to George, we meet Ursula Stanhope, a San Francisco heiress, tours Uganda with local guide Kwame and a trio of porters. However, she's tracked down and joined by her fiance, Lyle Vandegroot, along with two poachers named Max and Thor. So Kwame tells the group of the white ape, a local legend of a superhuman primate that rules the jungle. The next day, Lyle, insistent on taking Ursula home ASAP, goes into the jungle with her to find the white ape and are attacked by a lion. Lyle knocks himself out trying to flee while Ursula is saved by George. Yep. Apparently, George takes Ursula to his treehouse where, well, she's kind of gotten into a rude awakening by hearing the ape named Ape. Yes, really funny. Not only that, he also gets, so George gets to take care of her, and yeah, he always thinks someone is called a fella and what have you, but Abe explains that Ursula is a woman, a female of his species. Well, I really do enjoy this and what have you. Later on, he also introduces Ursula to an African bush elephant that acts like George's dog named Shep, and his Toko Toucan friend, the Tuki Tuki bird. Always gives a little jungle news. Anyway, George is smitten with Ursula and attempts to woo her. Well, Ursula reciprocates his attraction, and their time spent with him makes her no longer wish to return home. Later, Lyle, Max, and Thor find the treehouse, and Lyle confronts Ursula and George. Max and Thor make to shoot Shep for his ivory, and Ape shouts at Shep to run. Everyone is stunned by the sight of the talking ape, and Max and Thor decide to tranquilize and capture him instead. George runs to stop them and is accidentally shot by Lyle, who thought his gun was his novelty lighter. Lyle and the poachers are in prison, and Lyle is identified as the shooter by the porters. Max and Thor are released and resolve to capture Ape to make a fortune in Vegas. Meanwhile, Ursula takes George home to get medical help for his wound and to see the human world he belongs in. Well, apparently, once they're in San Francisco, the fun really begins. Well, Ursula takes George out on the town and into Neiman Marcus. Well, yeah, I really love that part. Yeah, well, where gets all dressed in a suit, makes him look good, but he's like pretty darn good. I love that part. So apparently later on, Ursula goes out with her friend and tries to break the news to her dad. And well, not to her mom just yet, because she'd freak out and what have you, as you can imagine. But anyway, and fails to. But soon, George realizes he could get Ursula that easy by eating coffee beans, grinding coffee beans, and boy go like crazy. And once he sees Were Guy on TV, he decides to break out of Ursula's place and have some fun. Boy, again, a little bit of a drumming job at a dance academy or school or something like that. And even gets a look at the Bay Bridge where he encounters a paraglider that's caught up. He looks like to swing or not to swing. Looks again, swing. There he goes into action. Apparently, well, Ursula sees this, and so she heads on a boat, and George manages to get the guy off the paraglider, but he gets caught when he's still holding on to his pack with the paraglider parachute on there, boy. Oh, boy. So, apparently, Ursula is now uninterested in marrying Lyle and admits the truth to her parents, but her overbearing mother, Beatrice, objects. At a party intended to celebrate Ursula's engagement, Beatrice takes George aside and coldly tells him she will not let Ursula's engagement fall apart and refuses to let George be with her. Meanwhile, in Africa, however, Max and Thor manage to capture Ape for real, who manages to order Tuki to find George before he falls unconscious. Tuki flies to San Francisco, and George returns to the jungle, leaving Ursula in the night. While Ursula's parents comfort her, she realizes she loves George and goes to find him, much to Beatrice's dismay, but to her father's approval. Yep. Alright, now to the ending and the final act of this movie. You have 5 seconds to stop this video, go to the description box below, and fast forward to the time below to avoid the ending spoilers. If you've seen the movie already, please continue on after the 5 seconds is over with. Okay, that about covers it. Here we go. Okay, you've been warned. So Ape tricks the poachers into circling the jungle and returning to the treehouse where George confronts and fights them, eventually incapacitating them. With a little help from Ursula, who shows up, and all his animal friends. Boy, they managed to get them, but if that wasn't enough, Lyle arrives. As the narrator explains, Lyle escaped prison, joined the cult, and is now an ordained minister. Lyle has the mercenaries he brought with him subdue George and takes Ursula to the nearby Ape River, where he has a boat waiting to escape while he performs a marriage ceremony. However, the river is a harsh series of rapids that hurl the two into danger. George escapes the mercenaries and performs a big swing to reach Ursula and Lyle. Yep. This biggest swing in jungle history. But George had to do it. And boy, I love it when he's going like swinging right through. And he's only to crash painfully into a massive tree. The impact was so hard that the tree falls over the river and pulls and George pulls Ursula to safety. Lyle ends up in a cave and believing he's still sharing the boat with Ursula, proclaims them way. He lights his light and beholds that he just married himself to a gorilla. George and Ursula declare their love for each other and marry. Apparently, that we enjoy a fun-filled party, which also included Ursula's parents and Kwame and crew. Boy, Beatrice is telling her husband, like, I wish you'd do something about these here apes. I feel like Jane Goodall. And Ape's like, Madam, I knew Jane Goodall, and you are no Jane Goodall. Oh boy. Sometime later, the two are now raising a son, George Jr., who they present to the animals from atop Pride Rock. Yeah, at the ending, like Lion King. But soon later on, as the credits start to roll, Abe interrupts the star of them to reveal that he's become a famous entertainer in Vegas, using Max and Thor as stuntmen. When he finished, the credits begin normally. End of story. So, what did I think of George of the Jungle? Well, I've got to say, it's a hysterical flick. Sure, it might have a few mishaps in some parts, but I won't talk about those. But it's more good than bad and what have you. The film got a pretty bit of mixed response and what have you. Anyway, I really do think this film is absolutely hysterical. I like the cast performances, of course. We have Brendan Fraser as George. Yeah. Actually, even after this, he actually concurrently auditioned to do the voice of Tarzan, which Disney would release 2 years later, but unfortunately lost to Tony Goldwyn. Leslie Mann, in one of her early film performances, who I would later go on to see her in movies such as Big Daddy and, well, appearances in movies like The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and oh, there's so many. The Arab Woman, and lots of others. She was pretty good. Thomas Haden Church was good as Lyle. Now, Kwame, on the other hand, was played by Richard Roundtree. Of course, you know him best as the original chef. And actually, that same year, he would also appear in a guilty pleasure of mine, Steel, with Shaquille O'Neal, which I have yet to review. I've been intending to review that, but you gotta give me time. Max and Dora, played by Greg Crutwell and Abraham Benrubi. Not too bad. John Bennett Perry playing Arthur Stanhope, Ursula's father, and Holland Taylor, who I would later see in Legally Blonde and also play Charlie and Alan's mother on Two and a Half Men as Beatrice. Yep. Crazy. But anyway, but I also like British actor John Cleese voicing an ape named Ape, who was absolutely funny. Keith Scott's the narrator of this. Of course, he's actually an Australian, as a matter of fact. Well, let me see. I know this guy from, well, some things. Most notably, believe from from the comedy film Blinky Bill, and possibly its animated series, as a matter of fact. Yes. Yeah, where he would voice various characters on that show. He was our narrator. And of course, voice guy Frank Welker doing the vocal effects for Shep, Tukey, and all the other animals around the jungle and what have you. Also, the film has a pretty good soundtrack as well. I mean, Mark Shaman, or no, wait a minute. Shaman, excuse me, my mistake. Did a pretty good job with the soundtrack. and it features some pretty good songs. It also including the theme song, which was done by the rock band, the Presidents of the United States of America. Of course, you know them best by songs like Peaches and Lump. Of course, this was just a year after they put out their second album, 2, the Roman numeral 2. But anyway, nevertheless, despite the mixed response and what have you, the film did pretty well. It opened at number 2, unfortunately losing to Men in Black. However, the film went on to become a big success, making $174 million worldwide. 6 years later, Disney would give a direct-to-video sequel where we would unfortunately have new players for George and Ursula. We would also have Angus T. Jones, who would also be a part of, well, 2.5 Men in it as George Jr. However, Keith Scott returns as our narrator, John Cleese returns as the voice of an ape named Abe, and Thomas Haden Church returns as Lyle. The film's a factually okay movie. It's not quite as good as this one, though. So the question is, with a pretty good cast, a good story and soundtrack and all that jazz, would I recommend George of the Jungle? You better believe it. This has a ton of humor and what have you. I think this would be perfect for to get your kids introduced to, or if you don't, then try and watch the cartoon. I'll do that in a future Saturday morning TV log down the road. All right. But George of the Jungle is a film I think you ought to give a try to. All right. Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on George of the Jungle? Please tell me in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button below, subscribe to my channel as well, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And then my next review will be another film Brendan Fraser's in, and also based on a J. Ward cartoon, Dudley Do-Right, which is a guilty pleasure. But that's my next review. Next time, tomorrow, expect my Saturday morning TV log of the New Adventures of Gilligan to come up, and also the Syphil and Ollie Show TV log as well. Now, though I said there won't be any live streams tomorrow, just stick around. I might do one tomorrow night. You'll just have to wait and see. But I think I will. I'll give an announcement when I do the Saturday morning TV log, alright? Thanks. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and if you like this, check out some of these other live-action adaptations of cartoons and what have you. In the upper left-hand corner is the review of Scooby-Doo. The upper right-hand corner is the Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed review, and the bottom left-hand corner is my review of the Flintstones from 1994. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe to my channel. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.